So there's a level of input, we'll call it emergency input, that people are capable of before they go into blanked out, essentially automated programming. And we know this from studying SWAT teams and all. And they're actually trained very carefully to recognize, okay, I went into this state, now I sort of devolved to my training, and I'll pull my gun and I'll fire in this order, and I'll, like, every little thing, but none of it's conscious. It's just built in, and it comes from reaching that level. Is it your understanding from Flow Genome that we can actually train that level so that it's higher, so that you're still in a conscious state, whereas most people would be freaked out, terrified, and not present, but you're still there?
Well, you're going to get one of two things. As it goes up, it's fight, flight, or freeze. And one of the craziest experiences I ever had, I was rock climbing, and I was very exposed. I was high above my protection, so if I took a fall, it was kind of a death fall, and the rock I was holding onto pulled out of the wall. And I was about 50 feet from the top, and the boulder was heading right at my training partner. So I screamed rock, he dove out of the way, and the last thing I remember is I was moving backwards, kind of off the wall, and the next thing I knew, I was 40 feet above me, on my belly, crawling towards the anchors. And I have no memory of what happened, and he dove out of the way to avoid the rock, so he has no idea.
Wow.
Right? Totally checked my brain out, and I got to the top of the climb, but literally I wasn't even there. I have no memory of it. And when I was on top of the rock, I was like, well, okay, this is either like divine intervention, but I sure didn't, doesn't that usually come with a sense of
there's no
angels are coming down and saving your ass? And there was none of that. And I was like, well, and there were no aliens who picked me up in their spaceship because
you look for implants.
Right, none of that. So I was like, all right, this must be natural, but I have I still have no idea how I got to the top, but it was the first time I saw what that actually happens, like when your brain totally checks out and performs and you perform anyways on that way. But yeah, you can kind of stretch out, you can stay conscious in higher pressure situations over and over. And I think it really translates, and action adventure sport athletes talk about this a lot. I mean, one of the things that in Western culture especially, we have really balkanized death. We've kind of hide our old people away. We send them off to nursing homes, right? I mean, one of the things about working with an animal sanctuary is death is a daily part of our lives. We work with sick old animals. And, in action adventure sports, injury is a daily part of your life. But there's something about kind of confronting that. I come back from a day in a downhill mountain biking, and it really doesn't matter what kind of problem I was having as a rider, right? It doesn't compare. Like, I might, on Friday, if I'm going to ride on Saturday, I could have the biggest problems in the world, right? I go riding, I confront some level of mortal fear, it resets my nervous system at a totally different level, and the problems that I was dealing with the day before look tiny in comparison, and my performance goes way up, which, I don't know if you can tell people that, getting more comfortable being around death and dismemberment is a good thing for work performance, but it actually is.
Buddhist teachings are that all fear is fear of death, and the more neurofeedback I've done, and the more I've dug into my own crap, pretty much every fear, it comes down to an irrational fear of death. So you might think, well, fear of being alone, well, it comes down to if I'm alone, no one will feed me. If no one feeds me, I'll starve, then I'll die. And it's this dumb little thing, and none of it's rational. It's all neurological. So yeah, I'm of the same opinion there, that anything you can do to allow you to stare death in the face and go, yep, that's death. Without running away and without jumping towards it, either one, but to be accepting and that it's liberating in a whole bunch of ways that don't make any sense at all.
We do a great exercise at the Flow Genome Project that makes people very, very uncomfortable. We ask people to write their own obituary.
Nice.
It's really write your own obituary and judge your own life, and and make decisions that way. And it makes you think about your mortality. It makes you kind of really come. It's a very, very deeply, deeply powerful exercise for people.
If what you've heard on Flow Research Collective Radio has been helpful, please consider doing us a solid and leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening to this. Reviews help us connect to a wider audience so we can get these peak performance principles out to more people.